Hello. Well, this was definitely a pleasant surprise. I just got an early Christmas present, and I'll give you my first impressions on my gaming update as well. Super Mario 3D All Stars, man. Hey, for the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers, there's a collection of 3 of the best 3D Mario adventures, and thought it would be best to address this as why I'm so hot in light of record sales. There's a collection of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. And as for the sequel, I will get to that in a moment, but for now, let's start. I'm going to start giving my first impressions of this collection. Please bear in mind that I'm well aware of all the other stuff I've heard, and I have played the game's virtual forms and enjoyed them extensively, so I have some reference here. And so let's get started. The Super Mario 64 portion. And since I actually don't mind that they didn't change that much about this one because of how the original game, which is nearly its 25th anniversary, he still holds up remarkably well, a quarter of a century later. In fact, in terms of stylized look, it actually holds up better than many ones that were being quote unquote realistic, and I'll bring that up in the other two games as well. Oh man, like even at the time, it was a big deal, like how well it managed to make transition from 2D to 3D, like how it weren't just jumping up and down or running left and right anymore. You could basically do that in any direction now, and a large part of the fun is like learning precision and timing to get us off, and that is never more true in this new collection, which apparently is based on a version that was has actually been released the first time outside Japan. It was actually originally going to be released as part of the 64DD when it came stateside, which didn't happen in light of the disappointing commercial reception that Peripheral, man. Oh man. But the music is fantastic, and also it was the first time that Toadstool was referred to by a canonical Japanese name, Peach, and that became her name. Kind of like what happened with Sonic later and Robotnik later became Eggman, which is actually the Japanese name, and I was like, I kind of just thought like, oh, so that's her name now. All right. Hey, and let me tell you, even though, I'll definitely mention this as well, but the way the controls lay out differently on the Switch, it's a bit different than how it fares on an 64 gamepad. Since the right stick takes the place of C buttons for just in the camera, uh, and so just one Z trigger, you have a Z, L, and Z, R as well as the usual L and R buttons. Like, one of the things the Tekken game most used to the fact that they duplicated here the buttons for jump and attack, kind of like on Super Nintendo. I'll briefly mention that in the other one, so let's keep going. Next up is Super Mario Sunshine, which came out a little bit after the launch of the GameCube. About 9 months afterward. At the time, many purists were cry foul at that being the first Nintendo console to launch without a Mario game in its launch window. Oh, but I think Miyamoto himself expressed that sentiment, which I also agree with. Like, a delay game is eventually good, a rushing is bad forever. I think it's the easy game would you rather for me. Would you rather they rushed something out for the money's sake, looking at you, 2K, with your WWE games, or would you rather they took the time they needed to make sure it was good and it worked? I have to say that I'm glad the latter was more plausible, and even I can tell that for these two, the resolution is vastly improved. The previous console capable display, and heck, even previous releases is on other consoles like the Wii U could max out 1080p, but at the previous digital releases only, I think, maxed out like they did on the original Wii at 480p, which was the console capable of displaying. And so again, I don't mind it too much, given how I still play games that are older than that with the 8-bit 16-bit era. Which even when you first Dawn Flood in this game, if you look on the bottom corner of the screen, you see entries of previous games, including one in this collection. So basically, this one revolves around Mario, Peach, and Toadsworth Vacation in El Delfino, which is being defaced by a house with enchanted graffiti, and as such, Mario managed to claim the island, but not merely help people like Marcus suggests. I think Animal Crossing would be a better fit for that, but to basically clear his name of a crime he didn't commit, which is a plot line I've admitted I have a bit of a soft spot for, man, or of redeeming oneself, man, and being able to prove of his accusers wrong. Yeah. And it's a bit tricky with how the controls are laid out here, and there's not any GameCube controller support, not yet, neither the adapter for the existing controllers, or for even like the replica ones I've seen used for Smash, so hopefully that way to be workable in the near future, because again, it's been a while since I played this one, but I remember enjoying it. Things definitely takes longer to relearn the controls, again, especially with the drift in mind. It is a problem, guys. And I'm keeping an eye on this suit because I really like it if people just saw this opportunity it wasn't. Now comes the a part of the collection that I really feel is the best in transition, Super Mario Galaxy. This is one that I think I've loved for a very long time. I really like how the music was handled in that game, given how they had a full orchestra to take advantage of the Wii sound capabilities. And I also like how they have the soundtracks to all these games, you just listen to them, and when the Switch is in handheld mode as well, and because you're just playing on the menus, when you're waiting for the game to load, I like that quite a bit, since it's definitely like this generation's All-Stars, kind of like how back in the day they released the remaster of the previous 3 games, was the Lost Levels, also on Super Nintendo, which they did online as well. And you're going to space. I like how even though controls also map differently there, the motion controls on the Switch are actually more advanced than even the Motion Plus on the original Wii. And I'm playing in handheld mode. On top, be able to use a touchscreen to shoot the star bits at enemies, or for puzzles. You can actually press the Y button to do the spin, and kind of like in Mario Odyssey, when you're throwing Cappy at the objects or enemies, which is kind of what I figured they would do when I first heard about that. So even despite what some people claim, wanting to redo other Wii titles for the platform is definitely not impossible based on what they have, and especially given how it's made IR pointing essentially obsolete, and hey, Tom McShay, how are you doing, honey? But in all likelihood, and as for the emulation aspect, I don't think it's dirty word at all, given how it's also one to emphasize the difference between emulating hardware and emulating hitting software. It's possible to emulate one, but it's actually for the software, but it's actually a lot harder when you're trying to emulate the other with the hardware. But the fact the Switch is capable of doing so, as other ports have proven, means the potential is there, and it's opened the door for countless other releases to get out there since. And as for the sequel, I'll not being on this one, who's to say they're not going to attempt that next? And if they had to delay something, I'm kind of glad it was like Mario 3D World and not this collection here. Especially like adding a whole new mode, Bowser's Fury, since, yeah. These games, honestly, a testament to, if I'm being totally honest, the timeless appeal all that Mario has. Like how in fact, in any case, when Sun's getting ready to come out, they actually considered changing the logo to a graffiti heated splatter before, but once Reggie took control of the company, he thankfully vetoed the idea. Yeah. All in all, while it does take some use to relearn the controls in this one, I consider this to be a worthy remaster, her. And if you're definitely a fan of Mario, who's loved these games, and or want to play them for the first time, especially if you're interested into younger players who might have missed them, this is definitely one I would recommend you take advantage of before March 2021. And I deem this in these games case worthy. I mean, in my Sheikah Slate case here, right in him next to Splatoon 2, and and with and right next to Smash Brothers, and I would have that in my console. So I definitely have yet another game to enjoy in this quarantine. So anyway, hey, that's all I gotta say for now. I'll definitely work on remaining some movie vlogs for the hosts I have for next week before the Frontundra goes live, and I will talk to you all later.